What's up, everybody in YuGiOh YouTube land? This is jesseburn representing TeamFTK, and today I'm joined with
Afrochete.
So what we're going to be talking about is our favorite tech cards in YuGiOh. So basically what a tech card in YuGiOh is, it's a card that you can run in a deck that will like further advance your plays, but it's also a card that's just like not usually seen in the deck, and it's just like a spicy choice that you can play. So for example, before we get into our favorite cards, I wanted to just give an example of what a tech card is. So my best representation of what a tech card is, for example, would be like running Reasoning. So Reasoning in a deck like Cosmos and Monarchs, that would be like a tech choice, basically.
Right, because you get to excavate the top card, and if your opponent called it right, it goes to grave. If not, so on and so on. And basically, like he said, it furthers plays for you, or just throw your opponent off and be like, man, I didn't know you had that card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that card is like primarily in a deck like Infernoids. That means its like natural habitat is Infernoids. So a tech choice for it would be like Monarchs.
Right. And to start off with tech cards, I would like to start off with my tech card, and it's more of an extra deck card versus a main deck tech card, because then you have two decks. Basically, you have your extra deck, and then you got your main deck. Most people tech cards in their main deck. Sometimes I like the tech cards in my extra deck because it's not known to be used in the type of format we're in. But it's an XYZ monster, and I like to run rank 4 decks, and it's basically Honor Arc. I love Honor Arc, and I remember when Honor Arc was a main card in the extra deck, like you had to have it. It was right there under Exciton. We had to have it. And at a time where Honor Arc Ulti, when it first came out, it was like $70, almost like $70, $80. I had to have one. I actually had two of them. Got one from a pack I bought from my friend Ricky, and then we went to regionals, and I ended up getting some more packs through the regionals, and then I pulled another one. So I had two Ulti Honor Arcs. I felt like a G at that time. I was like, I got two expensive cards. But basically, I like this in rank 4 decks, and not everybody expect it, because you can take a Link monster with it, or any special summon monster that's in attack mode, and it's 21. And then if it will be destroyed, you can detach one and still have it on the board to protect you from any damage or any big monsters attacking. I'm sorry. That's a reflex.
Yeah, that built-in protection is always a good thing. Like that was always like my reason of playing like number 101 over Castell, was like I can protect my monster.
Exactly. Yeah, and like we used to laugh at people that summon Exciton, and we're like, okay, we're just gonna Honor Arc you next turn anyway. Like we're just gonna take it, and like even if you detach or anything, I can just protect it, attack over it with 21. That was like fire meets water type thing back in the day, but.
So then, my card, basically, we decided that we were going to choose a spell, a trap, a monster, and then a monster from the extra deck. So I decided to choose Carnagorgon, anti-Illuminescent Carnagorgon. So the reason why I wanted to choose him is because I feel like he's a really good protection card. Because basically what he does is if you target a card, if your opponent targets a card you control, you detach and then you change the target. So that's really good, especially back in the day. Like, I played at a regional before and I was running Yosenjus. So I would basically just normal summon 4 Yosenju monsters, and at the time, this was before Twin Twisters came out, the only real back row removal was cards that targeted like one card at a time.
Yeah.
Mystical Space Typhoon, and then there was like, what else was like Night Beam, and then that was really it. Like everybody just ran that, and then they ran like Twister. And what you could basically do is, like I would do, is normal summon 4 Yosenju monsters. I would overlay for Carnagorgon, and then Trap Tracks for Flesia, flip Anti-Spell Fragrance. It was Pendulum format, so basically you would just like wipe out your opponent.
Yeah, and then we had Vanity's Fiend, or Emptiness, I think. Emptiness. It was Vanity's Emptiness, and if you had that out with Kagan Gordon, they try to MST knowing that they have a spell on the field as well. You can just detach and have them target their own spell and trap cards, and then you keep your Vanities. So that was a good implication.
Yeah, and another reason I really liked it in Yosenju's was like, I would play tanky, so then my opponent would be like, oh, I'm going to pop your MST, and then you could be like, no, you just pop my tanky.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore, and then like, either they would have like nothing basically,
Yeah.
So, but my only thing that I hate about this card is like, look at the name of the card. Anti-Illuminescent Carnagorgon. Writing this down at regionals,
was hard.
being dyslexic and like just writing down a long ass name like that is just like terrible. Like, this is a children's card game. Like, this thing could just be Carnagorgon Pretty Warrior. It doesn't need to be like all this bullshit. Like, fuck that shit, Konami. Like, get over yourself with these interplanetary purpley thorny dragon bullshit and print us some cards that are like, like Carnagorgon.
Yeah. I just feel like cards like the XYZs and stuff will come back eventually. They will, as the game furthers and speeds up. But another card I want to talk about, back then used to be trash, but is now a good tech card. It was so good they had to put it down to one, is Scapegoat. Back then, people didn't use Scapegoat. They didn't like Scapegoat. But now we have this thing called Link System. Scapegoat is like mind-blowing, you know what I'm saying? You can take 4 monsters and make something out of it, like a boss monster. You can even make a barrel sword, barrel load, or whichever one of them, and it's so awesome. And the reason I like this still as a tech card, because even though it's at 1, it's just a good card to stop yourself from getting OTK'd or killed by any attack and stuff like that. And then we got the link system, so they're no longer just dead tokens. You can make monsters out of them. So I feel like it's still a good tech card, or card in general. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's at 1. And I remember I used to run Mecha Phantoms. And man, this card is so busted in Mecha Phantoms because you make tokens. But you just normal summon one of the Mecha Phantoms, set this past turn. It was like, oh, well, you have to destroy my tokens before you destroy my monsters. And that was a good deck. I liked it in.
Yeah, that was one of my things I liked about Scapegoats being a chain burn player, was like, unless you went up against a deck that did piercing damage, you could always just be like, oh, flip my Scapegoats. It's going to take you 2 to 4 turns to be able to kill me, and then by then I drew 4 more burn cards.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny that it went from not being played at all to having its own format. First, having its own format, GOAT format, obviously, where you abuse Scapegoat. And then going to nobody playing it at all, and then to everybody playing it, but now it's 1-up, so people take it in. And then that's just funny. YuGiOh's weird like that. I don't know why.
So then, like, for my spell card, I wanted to talk about Magic Planner. So Magic Planner is really good. What it basically does is it lets you sack a continuous trap card to be able to draw 2 cards. So it's really good in those decks that you're playing a lot of continuous trap cards and you want to be able to like get them off the field so you can play YuGiOh, because sometimes you want to hinder your opponent. So good examples for the deck is you can run it in a deck like True Dracos, which you can run Skill Drain, and if you don't have a monster to tribute off to get off the field, you can play Magic Planner. Another good example is to play like Volcanics. Is probably the best example because you want your Blaze Accelerator reload in the graveyard, so you want to be able to plus off of it and get 2 more cards in your hand, just like fresh off, and you want to be able, put it in grave.
Yeah.
And then you can also play it in decks like Gravekeepers and Satellar Knights, Yosenjus, and you could probably even take it into Altergeist because they run a lot of Floodgates. You can play it in basically any deck that runs Floodgates. You could play it in Paleozoic Frogs if you wanted to. Just play like 1 or 2 copies just to have yourself basically another draw engine. And if your, say goes in match Rivalry of the Warlords, lose 1 turn, Skill Drain, Anti-Spell Fragrance, stuff like that is hindering you, you just send it to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. One of my fondest memories of always being a burn player and always seeing that card, Magic Planner, was that back in the day it was like $10, and like coming into the game just being like a burn player, you see $10 and you're like, dude, that's a lot of money for a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Because like back then it was like that's a pack of cigarettes, that's like food. Like that's literally anything that you can need $10 for. Like that's two slices of pizza at the mall. Like we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh at the mall.
Yeah.
So like literally $10 was so expensive, and then like it took like 5-6 years for them to reprint the card, and now it's like 50 cents, and I'm like, yeah, I got a play set, Yeah. So basically like, y'all need to keep reprinting these cards and making like cheap cards good because like we don't need just expensive $10 cards.
Right.
$10 is a lot of money for somebody. It really
Yeah,
is.
especially kids in school and stuff. Like their parents give them money, and they have to they don't work their butt off. Basically, they have chores and stuff, and that's the only way they're able to make the money. And versus people with jobs, they just like to just go blow cash. You know what I'm saying? And make everybody else feel bad because they don't have those certain cards. But sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh can be toxic. Let's not lie.
Yeah.
But
and another thing that was like $10, that's like a whole hour somebody could work for if they're making $10 an hour.
It's true. That's a whole hour of work. But let's get back to this. This the monster. It's Lancia, Artifact Lancia. Let me get it right. I like Lancia because I play a lot of trap decks, and Evenly Match is a card that we all hate and we don't discuss about, but we hate that card with a passion, and this is our fighting chance. This is something else that I have. But I like Lancia because it's from the Artifact family, and like back then they didn't have Lancia when the Artifacts first came out, and then I was wondering like, are they gonna come out with more? I felt like that was it, like it was a standstill for Artifacts, and then that was like, no, they're coming out with more. And then Lancia came out, and then we have like anti-meta decks that like to banish stuff with Radiant and stuff like that, and like they gave us a chance to fight back and be like, discard. Now on your turn, on my opponent's turn, none of my cards can get banished. And then like most of the times people enter battle phase to activate, and go to main phase 2 to activate even the match. During their battle phase, you could be like, oh, activate Lancia. Now, they can't activate evenly match because they can't banish. And then they already skipped their main phase, so now they have to go main phase 2, which is good. And then it's also good against this meta because you have Paleo Frogs. They like to banish cards as well to gain resources out the grave, like Ronin Totem. There you go. I was trying to find the name. But back then, we didn't banish a lot. I feel like we didn't need it then, back in the day. But now we banish a lot, especially with Thunder Dragons. I can't even stress how much I hate that deck too.
Yeah, and the only thing that I can think of that we used it for back in the day was like Cosmos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the decks that first came out that had like, okay, the banished pile is now going to be a resource. So you have graveyard, deck, hand, and now banished zone as a resource. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'll go ahead and talk about my monster. It's going to be Malefic Cyber End Dragon. So basically what it is, it's just a big 4,000 attack monster. And you use it in any deck that has a field spell. And you banish the one from the extra deck to special summon this one. And he's a 4,000 beat stick, and basically as long as the field spell stays on the field, he stays on the field. So it's really good in decks where when you play your field spell and then out of nowhere you bring out this big 4,000 fucker who just attacks, and I feel like you win the game when you bring him out basically in these decks.
He tells me every time, he's like, summon, oh, I win. I was like, how?
So like personally my favorite decks to play him is like Trickstars, because with Trickstars not only do you have a bunch of monsters that burn your opponent, a bunch of link spam strategies, ways to discard your opponent's hand, draw and lock bird them and completely lock them out of the game. Why not add a 4,000 attack monster in that's a free special summon and can just hit heavy for damage?
Please subscribe if you agree to this.
Yeah. And Malefic Cyber End Dragon has always been good for decks like Gravekeepers, so you can definitely play it in Gravekeepers. And you can play it in just about anything that has a field spell. I don't see why not. Like, it's just a free special summon. I think more people should be playing it. So my favorite moment about running this card was actually I was going against a Inspector Border player at Houston Regionals. And it was like this past Houston Regionals, and it was really annoying. I couldn't do anything because he had Inspector Border and he had 5 sets. So I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to special summon Malefic Cyber End Dragon. So I banished, I special summoned Malefic Cyber End Dragon, and I was like, I'm going to attack over this Inspector Border. So I went and I attacked over it. He flipped Magical Cylinder. So like I just got played. I took 4,000 damage and I was like, wow. And then I looked at my life points and I was at 4,000 damage. Then I was like, wow, again. So then I shook his hand and I was salty and I was like, man, I just got burned.
Jesse Burn getting burned.
Yeah, Jesse Burn getting burned. So that's my favorite monster is Malefic, Cyber, and Dragon for tech choices.
Alright, moving to the traps. Mine is Mind Crash. My god, this card is good. Like, especially if you know what your opponent is adding. And it helps out so much. And then it helps out with evenly matched, like I mentioned earlier. This is the other card I was talking about that can help you with evening match. And like, I love trap decks. I play Peleos, I play Layer of Darkness. Anything with traps, I played it. Anti-meta, played it. And but this card, it gives you knowledge, and then you get to discard a card from your opponent's hand. So say if you have 2 of these, that's almost like 2 cards gone from your opponent's hand. But if they have multiple copies, that's multiple cards gone from your opponent's hand. That's 2 plus another one, that's 3. 3 cards. They're left with like 3 cards. Basically, they're left with 3 cards. So it's pretty good. I like the deck. And then now we got trap tricks, so you can set it off of trap tricks, and so it makes it even more easy. And I always played a playset 3. Playset means 3. If y'all don't know, but I always had to have a playset in any trap deck I was running. Just cause Sky Strikers, you gotta hit that engage or the Widow Anchor. But sometimes it doesn't matter because they'll reset it. But at least you get it out of their hand and they can't continue to search. But yeah, I like Mind Crush. It's a good card. We used to run it against Boojins a lot because they'll add a Crane at the end phase. So you could be like, alright, end phase, discard Crane. Or anything else that they had in hand.
And we played against Necros a lot too. Because they always searched.
Yeah.
They just keep searching with Necros, and you could be like Mind Crush. And they would just like get pissed off.
Right.
Yeah. It was always funny playing stuff against Necros.
Yeah. Another deck we played it against like Dragon Rulers.
Oh yeah, we did play against Dragon Rulers.
Yeah.
We did the good old days.
Dude, I miss those formats.
So I guess I'll go ahead and talk about my trap card choice, and it's actually not going to be a burn card because like I was thinking to myself and I was like, what cards have won me more than any games other than burn cards, you know, other than playing like Ceasefire and all that other stuff is Magic Deflector actually. And I feel like this is like the biggest blowout card in Yu-Gi-Oh today probably. And I was going to pick like the Stardust card, Starlight Road, because I felt like it was really cool to negate and then special summon a Stardust Dragon from your deck, but I feel like Magic Deflector is really good because it has the utility to turn off field spells, quick play spells, and equip spells. So it's really good against your Noble Knight matchup, and I've struggled with Noble Knights for years being a burn player because they constantly gain 500 life points off the sword, and that's really annoying because they can do it multiple times per turn.
Oh my god,
so,
don't throw that card at him.
I'm not going to throw the card at him. Yeah. So Noble Knights was always a problem. I also feel like the card is really good against True Dracos, and then the card is also really good against Sky Strikers, of course, because all they really play is quick play spell cards, and they play field spells, and it's really annoying to go against that, up against that deck. And Magic Deflector is a really good blowout card. Also, my favorite thing to do with Magic Deflector is my opponent discards off Twin Twister, targets 2 in my back row, flip Magic Deflector, it's all good. Basically stop them from tearing apart your cards. Several times that's happened to me being a Yosenju player or being a Chain Burn player. I'll set 5, my opponent will go Twin Twister, and then they'll neg themselves because I have Magical Deflector set just to basically deflect that magic. Ooh.
Subscribe if you agree.
Yeah, right? So that was our list. We each had a monster, spell, trap, XYZ. If you guys like this video and want to support us, make sure to click the links in the description. Also, to get yourself a playmat or any other gaming merchandise, go to Inks Gaming, use the promo code TeamFTK10 to get 10% off your order. And if you guys have any cards that you want to tell us that is your favorite tech choices, monsters, spells, traps, XYZs, link monsters, fusion monsters, a whole bunch of different types of cards, make sure to let us know in the description. Also, ring that bell for more notifications. This is Jesse Burn.
And Afro Chete signing out.